This is going to get nasty. I mean, this is going to get nasty. You know, starting tomorrow, from what we hear, our friend Candace is going to be coming back from a week that she took off documenting and investigating and researching a documentary on Erika. And remember, all of this would be irrelevant. It would be moot had Erika just gone away. Had Erika just gone away. Just said, see you. I'm going to take care of my kids. Have a nice day. Thank you. You know, maybe an occasional hi, how are you? That would have been it. It would have been over. Candace would have looked like some kind of a ghoulish predator. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing with this woman? What's going on here? What's going on? Why are you know what I mean? Why are you going after this woman whose husband was just killed? She's not even a part of the picture. She's not even in the hierarchy. What are you doing? And it would have been it. That's not going to happen, though. That's why, and I don't want to say this too, that's why Prince Andrew, oh, man, watch your back. Watch your back. Look what they did to Diana. When you get to be a problem, I mean too much, when things are just, when they're coming after Chuck, the king, because the judicial system is basically the king's court, and your brother is involved in this, and you might have aided and abetted this. Oh man, oh man. Is this serious? Okay? Really, seriously serious. You got it? Capiche? But that's a different story. Let me tell you what's going to happen right now. It is going to be, tell you how it's going to work out. Candace is going to come out. She's going to have some documentary. And it will be scathing. It will portray Erika as, and I'm not necessarily saying it's true or not. I'm just saying the way the portrayal will be. And that in and of itself is a problem. As this gold-digging, absolutely vile, termagant, this predatory person who just, and has lived a lie. I'm kind of embellishing this, but that's the way it'll be portrayed. Who this person who took advantage of Charlie, America's favorite, America's golden boy, America's answer. This means this conduit to bringing in young people into the fold, into the ranks of conservative ideology and religious conservatism. She went in and she took this young man. And he was doing fine, and he put her in her clutches, and the next thing you know, well, he is offed. Offed in a way that leaves so many problems and questions that you know, and I know, we don't buy. This story doesn't make any sense. And where is Erika? Is she using her time and talent and energy to dispute this, to get to the bottom of it? No. First, she forgives him, which she has to do almost pro forma. And then she moves under the rules of Utah, this procedural aspect, where victims can move the court to accelerate, if you will, speedy trial. Okay? Where the victim can ask the court for a speedy trial. Now, that's not mandatory. The Sixth Amendment to the Constitution provides for a speedy and a public trial. And the speedy trial, you don't want there to be pre-accusatory delay. There's constitutional speedy trial, statutory speedy trial. We don't want somebody languishing in a prison forever as they finally get around to it. Thus, converting pretrial detention into really a kind of an ad hoc form of sentencing. As a practical concern, as a former prosecutor and licensed lawyer, will tell you, what people do not want is speedy trial. Defendants don't want a speedy trial. Age serves them well. It tones down the rhetoric, tones down the fire. It does a lot to put into perspective the real importance and the criticality of the case. So speed is not what they want. It's what she wants. She wants it done because she wants the case over with so she can move on. He's a trifle. Get him out of the way. He's the bad guy. He did it. End of discussion. That's it. We're done. Move on. That's what she wants. But you and I know, oh, no. You know what I dream? Oh, my God. And this could get nasty, but I dream that in a way, provided the evidence really comes through as such, where we come forward, and through Candace primarily, and we offer our services in the defense of, or the mitigation of the sentence of, Tyler Robinson, and that we are not sure if they have the right man. We're not sure because of all of the evidence that has been adduced and collected and compiled. Everything, things that don't make any sense. If Candace were to say, my friends, I need all of you open sourcers, these crowdsourced geniuses to come forward with all of your facts, all of your information. Former snipers, former individuals, former military folks, former ballistics experts, forensic pathologists, whatever. All of you folks come forward and pick through this. Also, can we see all of your films? May we see whether there was a color of the day, whether there seemed to be some kind of a strange orchestrated procession of participants. Odd. Find out, was there anything that you knew about where similar clothing, if it is the case, was to be utilized? Is there anything that you can show us that we can see that perhaps might, what am I trying to say? That might not necessarily build reasonable doubt, but just make things look a little bit more in perspective. Maybe there was a memo. Maybe it was done. If you can show this, maybe there was an idea of wear a particular type of clothing so we can figure out who's who and why not a shirt that says security, why that won't work, I don't know. But if all of this comes forward and all of this is presented and all of this breaks through that blood-brain barrier and the average citizen says, wait a minute, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that. I think the facts of the case, the behavior of the person. What if he did not know that he wasn't the one who actually killed Charlie? What if Tyler doesn't know this? What if Tyler doesn't know somebody else did it? Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great if all of a sudden you could get somebody to show up? Think he's involved, think he's shooting, think he is the killer, think he is the assassin. When all of a sudden the bullet's coming from this way, you're saying, wait a minute. And the bullet's never recovered. The bullet is never seized. The bullet is never analyzed. The bullet is never reviewed. The bullet is never looked at. Is never, because it just shattered. And this titanium cervical. What if the public were to hear this and say, it doesn't make any sense? I also find his behaviors afterward, the whole, Dairy Queen, the reactions, the text messages. You see, here's what happens. When you start to make a jury say, wait a minute, this stinks. This case stinks. I don't like any of this. when that happens, it starts the ball rolling. Because remember, a defense lawyer doesn't want to prove his client is innocent. He or she wants to promote and prove or provide a reasonable doubt. A doubt with which you can attach a reason. Let me put it to you this way. During voir dire, during jury selection, we would always ask, prosecutors would ask, Mr. So-and-so, would you promise me that if you find the defendant not guilty, you'll have a reason for it? That's really one of the best ways to explain it. Just not say, it was just saying, well, I found him not guilty because I don't believe the alibi, or I do believe the alibi, or I don't believe the time frame, or I'm not sure whether the witness, I'm not sure, saw what happened. I don't believe the police officer. Give me a reason. That's reasonable doubt. That's all I want to do. Reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt. That knocks out intent. That knocks out presence, availability, ability. What if you were to sit there and say, do you remember Tyler ever using a weapon? Not really. Did you ever see him fire Grandpappy's 30-06 with the iron sights in you? Imagine putting on an expert witness. State your name for the record. Gunnery Sergeant so-and-so, retired, United States Marine Corps. Gunny, what are some of the problems you see with this? You can say, well, that's not the hardest shot in the world. Let's just say hypothetically. That's not the hardest shot in the world to make. But for a first-timer, this is your debut. This is opening night. You decide to pull out a 30-06, this one. And this, aside from the fact that the entire head would have been obliterated. That notwithstanding, you mean to tell me that what? That you want to what? That this is a what? It's one of those things where you're saying, I'm not sure about this. You want a what? I cannot explain to people, and I cannot put into how do I say this? I can't put into words what happens if all of a sudden the jury were to think, you know what, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying any of this at all. Nothing. I'm not buying any of this. First time shot. First time heart beating. Wind drop. Iron sights. Whatever it is. To have that jury say, no way. Look at this kid. Just a doubt. A doubt. What about whether this was an exit wound or an entrance wound? People who have, I remember one time there was a fellow, I think it was a retired Marine or former Marine, who said he was looking at this and he saw in a particular frame if I'm Charlie here looking out to the audience right, audience left, to his right shoulder, all of a sudden they saw this light. And it was as though, believe it or not, there might have been a shot from this direction, and this wound might have been an exit wound. And if it was an exit wound, it changes everything. Did you know during the JFK assassination, there was a piece that they never want you to know about? As the car was driving forward, as if you can imagine this glass case, as the car is driving forward, and this is the rear view mirror, this is the front of the car, obviously driving forward. In the front, in the windshield, there was an entrance wound. There was a bullet, a round. And immediately afterwards, they took the car after cleaning it up, which is ridiculous, and they sent it to a Ford Mercury plant to remove and replace the windshield that has a hole in it. And the hole in it would have necessarily established a conspiracy, because if Lee Harvey Oswald is from the back, somebody else must have been shooting from the front. And that ipso facto is a conspiracy. 2 or more guilty people in a confederation of some sort, an agreement. It's those little things, those facts that change everything. So if Candace, in addition to what I think she's going to do, in addition to her documentary about Erika per se, if she were to throw in, or perhaps another documentary, but the facts of the case themselves, can you imagine if he were to be found not guilty? Then you might say, wait a minute, how is that possible? How is that possible? How is that possible? You're just seeing right now the most incompetent kidnapping investigation in the history of mankind. This is the case. This is the case, believe it or not, of all things, an investigation into the Guthrie kidnapping or abduction or disappearance. And today the sheriff said, we may not find out about this DNA for years. I mean, if that can happen, you mean to tell me that this investigation, if you could show to a jury that they were locking in on this kid, how many times have you heard that? The scapegoat, the cops find the perp, they find the suspect, and they wrap it up. I haven't even gotten yet to the part, wait until Candace goes into Erika's past, her loves, her relationships, her hookups, her dalliances, her behavior, which is not necessarily concomitant and consistent with that of a Christian leader, the pole star, the bellwether, the model of Christian purity and piety and chastity, whatever. That's one thing. And it's one thing when that is conceived as somehow being a lie to you. It's not so much that somebody lied, but they lied to you. And if she's lying about that, what else is she lying about? My friends, listen to what I'm saying. Please. I beg you. This is going to be an explosion. And Erika doesn't know this. She doesn't know this. She is imbued. She is wallowing. She is bathed in this idea that she doesn't have to worry about any of this stuff. And believe me, she does. Oh, she does. And you might say, well, why do I take glee in this? Do I take glee in this? I guess I do. I'd be less than candid if I didn't say I want there to be justice. And for there to be justice, I like phonies who were exposed. I keep thinking about Charlie Kirk. We don't even know if did he have a funeral? Did he have a family to be, or the kids are nothing. It's like it's like he's out of the way. Let's talk about Erika. So that bothers me. Yeah, I'll admit to that. And I must also say that I could not have picked anybody better to lead the charge than Candace Owens in getting to the bottom line, getting to the truth. So with that, my friends, I thank you. I thank you immensely. I thank you for your help and your kindness and the fact that we're after justice. And I also want to thank you, by the way. You've been very kind to my wife at Lynn's Warriors. Do you know what's happening right now? Do you know what's happening right now to parents who are trying to seek justice when their children have been basically like laboratory rats, fodder on the part of big tech? Today, by the way, I think it was in New Jersey or something, there was a kid who was responsible for sextortion. 21 years old, this kid who terrified children. There are kids. Kids are being under such attack. We never had this. We never had this in our lifetime. And she, through Lynn's Warriors, and I ask you to follow her on YouTube at Lynn's Warriors, what she's doing, that is the call. That, believe me, what I'm talking about right now means nothing. It's interesting. It's relevant. But what they're doing to our kids and what they're doing in the open, what Zuckerberg is doing. Do you know that when they walked into court, do you know they had on their Meta glass? Can you believe this? with victims and families and all kinds of considerations for confidentiality and privacy. What do you record? The judge went berserk. He said, "What do you take that off? What are you doing?" So anyway, Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. Thank you. I've got some questions for you to fill out. Thank you, or for you to answer. And you admit, come on, this is great, because you know what? I like when liars and distorters and prevaricators are brought to justice and brought to their knees. Funny about that. I believe in right and wrong. And what some people have done here is wrong. Have a great day, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. And now comment as you see fit.